Hello and welcome to episode 63 of When the Flames Go Up, the ATFC podcast. And the Flames did go up. They have gone up. Well, actually, we should save that for when we get promoted. Aldershot did win the FA Trophy with a 3-0 win over Spennymoor. We've got Joe and Julian on the podcast tonight to reminisce and discuss their days out in the sunshine at Wembley. I thought I'd just read out some of the cool quotes that I've seen on media coverage, which obviously is bonkers and only ever happens for um, games as big as this and as kind of memorable and historic, I suppose. So to begin with, the BBC Sport report, which I thought was really good, mainly because it didn't just talk about the game, which is often a thing that annoys me about match reports. They don't really get the moment. So here we go. Um, the Shots fan that made the trip to Wembley travelled in great numbers, and with over 18,000 tickets sold, they packed out their allocated quarter of the ground. Before the match, their supporters were bouncing as the players made their way to the pitch, a sea of red and blue throwing balloons and streamers into the air. Lovely, lovely setting of the scene. The Guardian article, which also one of the great article titles, I think, for an Aldershot moment. Aldershot end 99-year Wembley wait with sunshine and champagne showers. Can you hear how that sounds? It sounds so good. End Wembley wait. That's like lovely and snappy with sunshine and champagne showers. Oh, the assonance. It's beautiful. And anyway, this is a quote from that. It took Aldershot 99 years and two football clubs to reach Wembley, and for almost exactly as many minutes on a sun-kissed May afternoon, they made themselves entirely at home there, outnumbering their opponents in the stands and outplaying them on the pitch on their way to claim their first FA trophy. I mean, if you want to summarise the day, I mean, they've done it in beautiful. What a beautiful turn of phrase. And then the non-league paper, also another one that I enjoyed and also really summarised. They actually really did summarise. This is basically if you weren't there, this is all you need. Aldershot Town celebrated their first visit to Wembley in their 99-year history by lifting the Isuzu FA Trophy final, the FA Trophy in front of 18,000 delirious fans. Second half goals from Jack Barham, Dan Ellison, and the excellent Josh Barrett capped a historic day for the Hampshire club. I mean, I've just spotted a typo as they toasted a memorable success. Second half goals. Hold on. No, this doesn't even work. Second half goals from Jack Barham, Dan Ellison, and the excellent Josh Barrett capped a historic day for the Hampshire club. I think you're just missing an and toasted a memorable success. Not sure. Don't know why I've copied that out then. God, you can't get the editors these days. Anyway, we've got the thoughts of Joe and Julian, of course, on the pod, and we've also got voice notes from other contributors that we're going to feed in as well. So, hope you enjoyed the episode and email in anything about Wembley that you'd like to raise, and I'm sure we'll come back to it at some point. So, the Shots had their moment in the sun on Sunday afternoon as they lifted the FA Trophy at Wembley Stadium. That's a sentence that I was not expecting to be able to say this week. Just a week ago, I had no expectations that Aldershot might actually win or what it would feel like when they did. Goals from Barham, Ellison, and Barrett. I'm sure you've watched them at least 10 times from all the different angles. Sealed the deal for a 3-0 win over Spennymoor Town. And tonight we've got Joe and Julian to come and do an early reminisce of that whole day, the whole Sunday. We can go for yours, Julian. How was your day? How was your build up to Sunday's kickoff?
The build up was it still feels surreal, doesn't it? It still feels surreal. I saw something today, another version of the footage, and it said Wembley FA Trophy winners, and it still didn't quite. Is that my team you're talking about? That the team that never get to Wembley? What's going on here? This is just so weird. And the bits for me about the whole day in general, it's all those little things that you'll probably never see again. So it's that shot of Wembley Way of red and blue, people walking to Wembley, was amazing. When we scored the goals, it was the swinging around all the way around from the goal to the halfway line of shots fans. Just so many good things. But for me, I came up on the a Saturday afternoon, stayed in Surrey. So for me, the journey into Wembley wasn't so bad, and I actually went with my son, and we, perhaps good idea or bad idea, decided to get on the train at Woking. Why not? I thought, let's do it. And so we did, and already as soon as we got onto the platform, there was some shot stickers that had been stuck on one of the signs, which as I went around London all day, I just kept seeing these stickers. It was it was quite bizarre. But yeah, I got on at Woking, had a little photograph of me and my son with the Woking sign in the background, and perhaps both having a little laugh to ourselves. But we got on the train, and it was one of the specials from Aldershot, and it was absolutely rammed of shot supporters, which again, this isn't ever going to happen again, or perhaps it will, I don't know. But it was again just one of those real surreal moments of getting on a train and hearing Red and Blue Army, just quite bizarre, but really enjoyable. And never one to miss an opportunity, Will. I was actually standing next to a couple of French people who were intrigued as to what was going on. They were a couple of French students from the University of Surrey, and they looked at me and said, "What is in their French accent? What is happening?" And I had to explain, obviously, what was happening, and that this was a huge day. And turns out that they were both supporters from Marseille, hated PSG, and he said to me that was a theme throughout France, which was another conversation altogether. But of course, took the opportunity to mention the podcast, got them signed up for it straight away, and told them that they would be on the next episode. So um, good to speak to you too, and hopefully there's a couple of listeners from France there. But they said they would be tuning in and finding out a bit more, and I think they've adopted the Shots now as their team. But once we got
Well,
off the train,
sorry, just on that, Julian.
yeah,
Did get an email in from Mateo Rodriguez,
really,
the Marseille fan. Yes, he emailed on Wednesday night to say congratulations to the Shots on their historic performance. A big thank you to Julian, whom I met on the train to London. Thanks to whom I was able to discover the Shots through his passion. There it is.
oh, there it is. My work is done here. My work is done. But lovely talking to them both. And once we got off the train in London, again, just so bizarre walking through Waterloo with a sea of red and blue. It's just amazing. And even the railway workers that were working there were just sort of scratching their heads and saying, what's happening here? They really couldn't understand. And of course, we then all flooded onto the underground, and again, the stickers started reappearing all over the place as well. And from there, we had a bit of time, so we actually headed off into Leicester Square and just sort of started to. Well, actually, I did have a Ben and Jerry's ice cream while I was there, but had to just give ourselves a bit of time to just soak it up. I was talking to messaging Rob Worrell beforehand, and he said to me, just soak it up because we don't know when it's going to happen again. And so that's what I did. We got there nice and early. I walked up and down Wembley Way a couple of times, took as many pictures as I could, and we got into the ground just as the FA vase was being handed out as well. So we were able to see that, which was quite nice. So we took our positions on level 2, and again, what struck me there was how many people on level 2 again were supporting Aldershot. It was just Aldershot everywhere, and again, to just feel Wembley with shots people all around me was just something obviously I've never experienced before, and was one of those memories that I will take away. Now I did say on the previous podcast that I didn't care what the result would be. Okay, I lied. When I was there, I was just thinking, this is amazing, but how good would it be if we could actually win this game as well? And of course, I had no real idea of what winning was going to look or feel like either. So the things that have been hitting me since that moment are, social media. Last time we had a bus stop parade, Facebook almost didn't exist. it just wasn't there. And so one of the things that I've found I've been wasting my life on over the last 3 days is just an endless supply of pictures and memories and things. And okay, it wasn't a waste of my life. I've absolutely enjoyed it, and I'm going to probably dine out on all of these. I've still got loads of videos to watch. People that have posted for the day, and they've done their little YouTube videos and all those sorts of things. And I've got plenty more to watch. I even managed to get hold of, if anyone wants to know this, then just email in. But I also got hold of the full BBC Surrey recording as well, which is over 4 hours. And I don't know if you guys have listened to it yet, but I've started to listen to it, and it's absolutely excellent. It starts you right from the moment Tim Durrans is introducing it. There's a history of Aldershot. There's interviews. It's a fantastic production they've put together, which I say is just over 4 hours long, and it includes the whole game as well. And for me, again, that is something that is obviously with the radio commentary, it's quite close to my heart. So that is something which I just never even thought would be a something to take away from this amazing moment. Um, so yeah, I don't know, I've probably waffled on there, but it's just been an incredible roller coaster of emotions, and even just watching that bus top parade afterwards as well. I never even thought that that would be a thing. Um, and seeing the amount of people that are out for that, local coverage. Oh, well, I could go on and on. I better let you guys have a word. But yeah, it's just such a great day. And of course, when those goals went in, um, feelings that I've never felt before, and was so glad that my son was with me. I'm not sure if I'm going to actually get him along to many games, but he had to come with this one. He had to come for this one, and he enjoyed himself too. So, yeah, I'll shut up now, Will. I'll let everyone else have a talk. But what a great day it was.
Lovely stuff. Yeah, I knew as soon as I put this podcast recording, it was going to be a bit scattergun. There's all these things that I've been thinking about all day or even all week, just little moments. And then you've just said stickers, and that was the kind of first little inkling, little sign that I saw that Aldershot were taking over London. And then you start seeing more and more red and blue, and you start seeing, just hearing a distant town, just miles away. It's not close. It's not like you're near a ground. It was just kind of on a concourse somewhere or underground. And that was a constant for about 6 hours of just like this entire takeover. Yeah, really hard to put it into a concise summary. So no apologies needed for scattergun. Joe, you're back with us. Give us your build up to the day and getting to Wembley.
Yeah, so thanks, Will. Yeah, it was a bit of a unique one for me this time. Obviously, normally just travel up for home games and the odd away game, but I never get the supporters coach. And this is something my dad brought me up as a Shots fan, and obviously that's my team for life now. I'm truly entrenched. So yeah, he wanted to give me that experience that he had growing up, and so we left Devon at 5:30 on Sunday morning, bright and early. Start off on the M5, and as we're overtaking on the outside lane, we see. I look in the car. There's some more Shots fans there, and this is sort of caught about 6 o'clock on a Sunday morning on the M5. It was quite a bizarre. So we quickly wound the window down, chucked the scarf out, waved it around. Yeah, really lovely journey up. And as we come into Aldershot, met up with a friend for a cup of coffee, and then headed down to the ground. And it was just this sea of red and blue outside the wreck, and atmosphere was building. All the cars that were driving past were beeping their horns. And then the coaches arrived, and the atmosphere was amazing on there. As we got to the outskirts of London, and we caught a sight of the arch, everyone on the bus cheered. And at that point, I was getting butterflies and goosebumps. At that point, it was just quite amazing. Couldn't quite believe that was going to be our day. Got off the bus, headed towards Wembley Way, and what I really liked actually, and I really liked the non-league finals day as a concept. Having four teams there, it's sort of mingling, four different colours. It was quite interesting, and it was quite nice that we didn't really have any rivalries with any of the other teams there. So the atmosphere was really friendly as well. Got our obligatory photos outside the arch. Those are photos that I'll cherish forever, to be honest. and then headed to the Green Man pub, which I don't know if either of you two went there. The atmosphere was quite rowdy, but a really positive atmosphere, just absolutely full to the brim with Shots fans singing, hitting beach balls up in the air, um, getting well and truly lubricated for the rest of the day as well. I had a couple of friends with me. One's a York fan, one was a Palace fan, and they couldn't quite believe the amount of fans that had turned out. And I sort of explained to them that this is anyone who's ever supported the Shots. There were people there we were speaking to who travelled from Australia. I saw one guy put on Facebook he was travelling on a Saturday, flying back on a Monday. I mean, that just signifies the size of the occasion, doesn't it? Really, to travel 48 hours for an hour and a half of blokes kicking a ball around on a field. And then when it got into the ground, to the tail end of the FA Vars game, which actually looked like quite an interesting end, obviously finishing in extra time. And then just as the Shots fans were filtering in, the nerves really did start then. And we'll talk a bit more about the match in a minute, but the sight of nearly 20,000 Aldershot fans yeah, just pure goosebumps. And to sort of be there with my friends, but particularly there with my dad. That is something I will, remember forever. Truly special feeling. And obviously, we'll talk about the game and how it got even better from kickoffs.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Joe. Yeah, didn't make it to the Green Man. That was broadly the plan for me. Our day started off with we managed to find a spoons that had a dartboard in Lewisham, which was interesting. Had a breakfast, a couple of pints, and a little bit of darts to start the day off. Before we met kind of the first of the group of 21 at Waterloo, then made our way to Baker Street as quick as possible. Um, and this was before the Globe opened, so the Metropole opposite was absolutely a chock-a-block. I've never seen anything like it. Everyone, not not a single person in there, a normal person. They're all of red and blue persuasion. And then about 10 minutes later, the Globe opened and the Metropole did empty out. So we got a seat and then began to amass more of the entourage as more people turned up from Norwich, other parts of London, and then my family, my sister, my mum, my dad from Aldershot later in the day. And by the time they got there, we were looking down the barrel of, well, we've missed the FA Vars game, and now but we're going to cut it fine here if we don't leave very shortly. So we managed to whip everyone together, get on the Jubilee, and down Wembley Way, as you say, to get the obligatory photos. Um, and yeah, that moment. I have walked down Wembley Way before. I saw Sam Fender at Wembley Arena, so I had this kind of weird, kind of, I don't know, a half a moment. I was with people that haven't had no interest in football either, but I don't think they understood the significance of walking down that way. So I did feel a bit dirty, like I should have walked backwards or something, but I didn't. So I did get to kind of experience it now in this beautiful sunshine, blue skies, and knowing that we were going towards, well, all of that kind of many thousands walking the same way are all going to pack into that Wembley corner that we decked out. And yeah, I managed to got into my seat or stand at my area about, I think it was like 5 minutes before kickoff. We really, really cut it fine. But I managed to, see the minute silence, national anthem, and then there it was. The pitch at Wembley was there. I mean, I'd not even considered that we were actually going to play a game at Wembley. All this build up, all this kind of, I don't know. We've been saying Wembley, 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 and I've seen a stadium on the outside, and I got in, and I didn't really realize there was a game of football to play. And that's when it kind of struck me, seeing it like this beautiful green expanse in front of me. And yeah, where we were situated was kind of under level two, so I didn't quite get that um, initial feeling of how many people were supporting the shots. And I tried to kind of run down to the front at half time and just look back, but I couldn't quite see back far enough. So that was one of the, I don't know, that was one of the biggest things for me. Like one that kind of put the lump in my throat afterwards was seeing seeing the videos and photos from the other side of Wembley at that corner. I don't think, well, as we've kind of mentioned, we probably won't ever see numbers like that ever again. And yeah, just uh, yeah, immediately that becomes my wallpaper for my work computer. So every time I go and get a coffee, people are going to be hopefully hopefully asking me questions like, "Who's that? Why have you got that?" Um, but I think coming back into real life after this is really hard because nobody asks you if your team won the FA Trophy, and all I want to tell people is that my team won the FA Trophy, and nobody seems to care. Why does nobody care? It's just it just seems to be 18,000 people care, and that's it. But I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. Um, yeah, and then I mean, the rest of it's a bit of a blur. The evening, I wish I'd had a chance to go to Box Park because we got a voice message or a video from Ian after the game from Box Park, and they did play Alive and Kicking. That was maybe the only thing that was missing from my day, a big rendition of Alive and Kicking. But that would be me picking holes in what was a perfect day. Um,
Perhaps Ian can do it for us again sometime.
that's true. Well, great. We better talk about the match and the goals, of course. Um, where to begin? Julian, the first half, we get a big chance from Spennymoor that they spurn, and that turns out to be their only real clear-cut chance of the whole game, really. What were your feelings in the first half and when that ball was gratefully in Dewhurst's grasp?
Yeah, I think we have to be realistic and say, well, if that had been perhaps a National League team, they would have scored that goal, and then it would have been a different outcome potentially. But I think I've said it before. You can only play what's put in front of you, and we've played what's been put in front of us all season in the trophy, and we've come out victors. So yeah, as the ball was knocked over the top, I think there was a little error in footing, which allowed the Spennymoor guy down the sort of right side to speed away. And yeah, the guy was just screaming for the ball in the middle, wasn't he? He was running in. He made a perfect run. It was timing was absolutely superb. And then that moment just seemed to take forever for me. The ball, you could see where the ball was going to go. You could see what was in his mind. And I was visualizing the ball going in and it being 1-0. And when he almost back passed it to Dewhurst, I was like, oh, brilliant. Thanks very much. I'll take that. And but I think the first half was quite flat. I think if you look at it from an honest point of view, I don't think we really got going. Spennymoor looked quite comfortable. What I was noticing was that we did have a lot of possession, and so there was a hell of a lot of patience from us. You know, how many times did we move the ball along the back three one way, and then we moved it the other way, and then we moved it back again, and then Frost and Jones just on the right and left wing backs were just holding their positions. They weren't particularly bombing forward. They were just holding those really tight positions to the byline, which Tommy loves his wing backs to do. And I think with hindsight, it worked really well because when you've got a part-time team and they are spending 45 minutes running after the ball, um, it's going to open up some opportunities in the second half, and that's exactly what happened. I think the second half was a different story, but certainly after 45 minutes, it was quite an even contest, and being 0-0, I thought was actually probably a fair scoreline to be level at half time. With could argue Spennymoor had one or two chances, and we had one or two chances, which I think we were just sort of setting our sights really for perhaps the second half. But yeah, first half I'd say was probably about right, being level.
Yeah, nice, nice. And then we go to the second half. A couple of my friends were still in the concourse, so they missed the first goal. They're not Aldershot fans, don't worry. They were Norwich and Arsenal and United fans, so they weren't too aggrieved. They were annoyed to miss the scenes and the limbs of Jack Barham's goal, which came a couple of minutes into the second half. Joe, describe what that first goal was like from your point of view.
Yeah, I think one of the main things I noted about that second half was it just wasn't the Aldershot way. The end feeling of night after the final whistle blew was that was comfortable, and we were comfortable seeing out a game on the biggest stage, the biggest match in our history. It just didn't add up, but it was real. I think it was the best possible start you can have to a second half. It's the Spennymoor manager said in his post-match interview how that sucked the life out of Spennymoor, and I think it was a real punch in the face for them because anything they were offering going forward, they had to come out and score, and that just they had to come out and equalise, and that played right into our hands. Um, we never normally get ahead and keep the lead. We don't score headers direct from corners, and the only thing familiar about that second half really was Josh Barrett scoring a wonder goal. That was the only parallel I could draw the rest of the season. The goal was simply sublime. The header from Kwame, I think, is going to be forgotten about, which is a shame, I think, because Barrett's going to take the plaudits for that. But if you actually watch that goal back and see the way Kwame directs that header, sucks two defenders in, he's read the run of Barrett, and yeah, it's just it was just too perfect that whole second half. I know we're supposed to be talking about the first goal, and I've gone off about the other two, but I've just got really excited there. But yeah, it was the best possible start to the second half, and I think Barham to score, he works hard, and I think he deserved that for all his hard work this season. He's played a ridiculous amount of games, and just hope we can keep hold of him next season.
Nice one. Oh, yeah. While you're there, Joe, you got to give me an ecstasy rating for each goal because I don't know. Have you got a waveform for it? Was it a straight line up? I mean, give me a out of 10.
Yeah, I think Barham's goal was probably a 9, and I think Ellison's was an 8 because it's from a corner. You can anticipate a goal a bit more from a corner, and then Barrett's just I don't know set off broke the Richter scale.
Nice, nice. We'll see how that tallies up with Julian. Julian, take us through the second and third goals and give your ecstasy rating for those all three.
Yeah, similar to what Joe was saying, this wasn't what we normally expect from Aldershot. How many times over and I've been following them, as you know, for over 50 years now. How many times when you get a big crowd in, do we choke and we don't deliver and we don't show those people what we're all about? And that's one of the biggest things for me as well from the weekend is that, and I think we're going to talk about it a little bit later, in that we've shown 20,000 people what it is to be an Aldershot supporter, and that's something really powerful that we can use and we can move forward with, I'm sure. And I think there's some plans in place already to really exploit what's happened with the trophy. We've got this trophy, we've got it for the next 12 months, so this trophy is going to be going around the local schools. There's going to be photo opportunities. There's going to be endless chances to milk this really for what it's worth, and I think that's part of something which we can talk about a bit later. But yeah, the goals, the second goal when it went in, again, I was right in line with it. So as soon as that ball flicked off Ellison's head, it was only going in one place, and that was in the corner. And I wouldn't say it was a relief because I think Joe said it there. It felt comfortable, and I didn't really feel at any stage that we were in any trouble. And when that second one went in, it just felt right. It just felt so good. And obviously with Ellison then running towards that massive support, and as you mentioned earlier on, those limbs and just the constant singing, it's just a moment that's going to live with me for forever and ever. And I want to say, sounds a bit corny, but I just want to thank the players and the management and everything for giving me this moment, because I've been waiting for it for a long time. And we've all got our own opinions on who should be in the team and who shouldn't be in the team, but they've done it. They've given us these memories for a lifetime. So I'm going to be eternally grateful for them. And when Barrett lined up for that third goal, you just knew again that he's got that ability. Very similar to the last minute strike against Files at home in injury time, ball bouncing up, took it on his left foot. And again, remember that there's not many players in this league, in this level, that can do that with both feet. And Josh Barrett has shown this season 19 times now, whether it's left foot, right foot, it doesn't matter. He's got that ability. And again, for that, he deserves enormous credit. But yeah, 3-0. I think we all knew that it was game over, and we could then really start to celebrate.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to think really the different the kind of different moments there. I mean, the Barham goal is definitely, I don't know. It just felt like we'd saved it all up for the second half just because we were facing 18 fouls and Aldershot, and it like I can't actually believe that they actually scored at this end like 3 times. I mean, it would have been, I was expecting James Henry to score up the other end or something, and it'd be miles away and not be able to barely be able to see it go in. But to see that ball from Barham, the James Henry ball goes to the back post and Barham gets that deftest of touches and it rolls right towards, like you said, the Ellison goal. The ball is like flies towards the Aldershot fans, and then the Barrett goal, all in that corner. It just seemed, I don't know, it just looked about as perfect as you could wish for 3 goals, I think. And yeah, I'd say another mention on the Ellison goal. Obviously, he's failed to score for Aldershot since he joined us after scoring 9 times from centre back last season. So he arrived with quite a um, yeah, quite an expectation to bring some goals or bring some aerial threat. And yeah, he is an aerial threat. I mean, I think his first game against Yeovil away. I don't think he missed a header. He was absolutely dominant. I was like, this bloke's going to score 5 or 6 before the season's up. And I mean, it slid off his 50p head countless times in the box from corners, and he seemed to save it all up for a beautiful glancing header at Wembley. So yeah, big thanks to him for that moment. And yeah, that was also a special moment because me and my mates Dan and Callum, we've been kind of wishing and hoping that Ellison would score. It's one of those players that you're like, come on, mate. He scored 9 times last season. Why are you not scoring? So when he scored, my mate Dan, he was just 1 row down and about 5 across, he jumped back up. And then we had an embrace just for Ellison, just for Dan Ellison. So that was another little special moment in a moment. Just so many different moments along that way. And I think the third one, obviously to confirm basically that we'd won the game and won the trophy. That felt really surreal because there was chance like time for me to like hug everyone around me, just like to be like, I can't believe I've got friends in front of me saying, you've done it, like Aldershot have done it. Um, so yeah, that was really special. Just to be clambering over rows and rows to hug my mum, hug my dad, hug my sister, and just say like, this is absolutely ludicrous. So what a mental day. Um, whew. And then where do we go from there?
I
Um,
was just going to say, Will, I think I wanted to give a shout out to the substitutions, um, making them so early. I think was it Corbett he brought on quite early into the first half. Sorry, into the second half, and I think that was one of his probably his best half in a shot shirt. And what better time to save it up for than Wembley match. And I just another shout out for Kwame Thomas. Last season on the pod, he was one of my favourite players, and I think an unsung hero of last season. And I think he's someone we have missed massively this season. And I really hope we can keep him next season. I think he's got the best sort of arc of a lower league player this season. Relegated with Ebbsfleet 6 weeks ago, and then just lifting a trophy at Wembley. I think if you're an Ebbsfleet fan, you'd probably be a bit peeved that you probably didn't see him perform to that level. But all the subs did absolutely brilliantly, and I think Tommy got them bang on because sometimes he gets criticisms for his substitutions, but I think everything worked.
and we even had obviously the opportunity to bring Ollie Scott back on, who's been out injured for a long time, so he got some minutes at Wembley, and Geordie came on as well. Obviously the Spennymoor keeper came on as well, which is another little story and a day of lots of different stories to come out from it. Um, yeah, but one thing I did completely forgot, what I was saying earlier, completely forgot there was a game going on, is I didn't know the lineup until like 10 minutes before kickoff. I'd just completely forgotten there was, I could have just looked on my phone and found a lineup. I suppose it was kind of not going to be full of surprises. It was mainly just will Hargreaves make the bench? And yeah, unfortunately he couldn't. He wasn't able to make the bench, which I'm really really sad for him. Not getting to fulfill that dream because I mean, boy has he earned it. I mean, this since the turn of the year, especially, he's been one of our best players.
Hi, Will. Reflections on Sunday. What a day. It started with me interrupting my kids' usual visual diet of YouTube videos of Lego building to put on Simple Minds Alive and Kicking and the Capodino Road to Wembley video, whilst attempting to explain to a confused 6-year-old where I was going that day and why. I excitedly made my way to Baker Street via Marylebone, meeting my brother, who'd come down from Birmingham. A stop in the Metropolitan, all the Shots fans outside and inside, and then over the road to the Globe, where it was much the same, red and blue everywhere. We got the tube up to Wembley Central, took in a couple more pubs, Wembley Wetherspoons. Great to spot Lauren Tallard and Josh Stokes in there, mingling with the fans, having some lunch before the big game. Everywhere on the way to the ground and finding the seats. In the lower tier on the side, we were spotting the various vintage and not so vintage replica shirts, remembering some of the matches, the places we visited, and the players we saw in those shirts. Seeing people I hadn't seen at games in years and people I knew from my school days who'd never shown any interest in any football of any type were all at Wembley for one thing. Aldershot Town. The first half was strange, and with the main view looking across Wembley from my seat in block 142, was the empty seats where the Whitstable and Whiteleaf fans had been sat earlier in the afternoon. It made it feel like a bit of a pre-season friendly in a strange sort of way. The action was low, but there was a good crucial save from Marcus Dewhurst. What seemed a good Spennymoor chance, but it admittedly wasn't a particularly well-struck shot. That seemed to be the best chance of the half, and we entered the break 0-0. At this stage, my mind started to wander towards the statement I'd made on the Woking semi-final episode that perhaps the journey was going to be better than the destination. Second half, and with plenty not back in their seats, me included, Jack Barham gave us a lead from a James Henry cross. And there was me kicking myself that I'd been too busy talking at half-time to make sure I was back in my position. From here, the shots grew into the game and took control. Dan Ellison's header, making it 2-0, meant that I wasn't going to have to admit that Aldershot's only ever Wembley goal I'd missed because I was still on the concourse. Then, of course, the moment of the match for me. I'm saying to my brother that we're nearly there, and let's not have this typical Aldershot thing of turning a comfortable win into one where we're going to have a nerve-jangling last few minutes. But then, there it was, the break from the shots, the knockdown from substitute Carby Thomas, for Josh Barrett to let the ball bounce perfectly, and he unleashed the perfect left-footed shot into the top right-hand corner over the Spennymoor keeper. The eruption from the Shots fans, the elation that the trophy was coming to Aldershot, and that was something incredible had been achieved. All that time, the money, the trips that I'd saved for, everything had been worth it. The players, Tommy Widrington after his health struggles, the backroom staff, the volunteers, Terry Owens and Graham Brookland for starting it all up again in 1992, Shahid, the board, the fans who got that consortium over the line with their contributions in 2013 to keep it all going. What a day. Thank you. The trophy presentation, and I thought back to the times I watched the FA Cup final as a kid, wishing that one day I'd see a team I support win a final at Wembley. Well, it finally happened, and I couldn't be more thrilled. Pouring out onto Wembley Way with many other jubilant Shots fans pouring into Box Park to begin the party. Again, like the build-up, we were spotting people I hadn't seen in years. The replica shirts of various vintage, the talking points. Singing along loudly to Alive and Kicking and not giving a damn how much or how badly I must have sounded. It was great conversations with some many other fans, and it was great to have the company of regular Guy and my brother to make it a really special night. Monday was a struggle, I must admit, but it wasn't just down to any excess beers that were drunk in celebration, but also the constant thinking back to all the great moments of the day and quite a few re-watches of that Barratt beauty on YouTube. I didn't get over to Aldershot for the parade, but I love seeing the scenes in the town and the locals coming out to support. I'm not as local to there as I used to be, but it's a special place and town, and I'm hopeful that both the club and the town can flourish as a result of this achievement. AFC and ATFC haven't always made the most of the big occasions, but maybe this could be the one that's different. The way Sunday went and the show the players put on, I hope has converted a few who've never or only ever been once or twice to come regularly. The Laps fans to come back when they can, but overall, what a day, alive and kicking.
So as you know, I think we've all been talking about it in the previous podcast, where we've been reflecting on what it meant for us all to get to Wembley and what we hoped would come out of it, but we never really discussed the details of the game itself. Obviously, we were anticipating that. Obviously, let me give you a bit of a sense of what happened, how it was for me, and of course, this also includes a little bit of personal experience of getting there. I was staying in Wimbledon, having come over from Geneva a couple of days before, and taking the train up to Waterloo to meet my uncle and aunt, my uncle who I've been going to games with pretty much all my life, arriving in Waterloo and just being struck by how much red and blue I saw, on the platforms, on the concourse. It was quite something, and obviously it was there at Wembley as well, but just seeing the number of shirts and shirts from over the years, shirts that I'd forgotten about, shirts that weren't just from this century but the last century, including some that were from the first season that Aldershot was reformed. So it was really something to see, that it became real to me at that moment. And from Waterloo, catching the Jubilee line up to Wembley, and then just coming out at the top of Wembley Station and seeing Wembley Way in front of us, decorated, people walking towards the stadium. It was quite something. Obviously quite amusing to listen to some Spennymoor fans who were, jeering some Aldershot fans, obviously in good cheer, but saying, we're a rubbish Crystal Palace, given our colours. It was quite amusing as well, trying to get into the ground. We were a group of 10, having met my cousin and his friends and children outside, and of course my uncle, being so used to Aldershot's grounds, always insists on everybody going in together. Never mind the fact that obviously we all had tickets. Those tickets had a particular stand, a particular row, and a particular seat. So even if we got lost in the rush, in the rush to get into the ground before the kickoff, we were all going to end up sitting next to each other. And of course we did get lost. Now, the actual game itself, I have to say, that first half really kind of passed me by. I didn't really stand out for me in any great way. I think maybe there did seem to be the sense that maybe the occasion was overwhelming, not just for the players but the fans as well. I think we were sort of still struck looking around the stadium and not able to believe that we were actually there. There were a couple of half chances from both sides, but we went into the break with the feeling that we weren't unduly threatened, but neither were we really, making the most of the performance. During the half-time break, I was getting a drink with a friend, and I had to go into the bathroom. And it was while I was in line for it that someone behind me said that we'd scored. So typical. I go all the way to Wembley to see my team play, and I missed the first goal that they ever score at Wembley. So I was hoping very much that it wasn't going to end up being a 1-0 victory. Certainly when I got back to the seat, my aunt told me to maybe go back to the bathroom. That might bring a second goal. But fortunately, I was able to see the second and the third goals. Second goal was a very well worked set piece. Good header from the corner. And the third goal, well, I mean, it was just the icing on the cake, wasn't it? I mean, we were on our feet. Even though you usually get that sort of sense of elation, usually when you get an opening goal, or when you're sort of equalising, and we're already 2-0 up. But just it was such an outstanding goal that it put everyone on their feet, and so it didn't just feel like, oh yes, let's have another clap, mild clap. No, we really felt it. But it is also actually something that Barrett's been doing pretty much all this season. He's been sort of trying to find the angles, and quite often lobbing the keeper, trying to go for the spectacular. So it's quite nice to sign the season off that way. So obviously we all, we were like many, we stayed beyond the end to see them lift the trophy. It was a shame that the fans were on the side of the ground that we were, because obviously we couldn't see them climbing the steps and raising the trophy, except on the scoreboard opposite. It was afterwards, after the game, walking back down Wembley Way, I decided, because there was they were holding people back at the station because there were so many people on the platform, that I went to the box park, and it was great. I met Ian. We had a drink, we put the world to rights, and we also had the opportunity to meet and to talk to various fans, and it was very telling to me that this wasn't just a game for those of us who were there, for the 18,000 of us who were there. It was also, there was a significance in the sense that many of us were also representing people that had first brought us to the game itself, as well as Aldershot in particular. And it's certainly something that I was carrying with myself, thinking of my grandfather, who was, along with my uncle, the first person to take me to see Aldershot back in October 1986, not being around to experience that moment. And speaking to some of the fans, particularly the one from Nottingham, who also had moved away from Aldershot, he also brought up his own personal experiences, his own personal memories of people that are no longer with us, who he was also representing. So it really, it in many ways, those images you see of the 18,000 of us on the Aldershot side of the ground, it wasn't 18,000. It was us and the people behind us. So what a wonderful way to end the season.
I suppose we've got just enough time to talk about the open top bus tour, because none of us three were there. But I mean, I was watching from afar, refreshing Facebook. I got a video from my dad from the top of the town near the Spoons as the bus went by. I've seen the ITV News clip, which got me going again on Tuesday, with Tommy Widgerton kind of, sunglasses on, clearly very moved by the whole thing, and the town coming out. I mean, it's just your final thoughts on those kind of celebrations that you saw. I'll come to you first, Julian.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it earlier. It's just I wasn't expecting it, to be honest, and it's I think it bodes well for the future. I know we've had these moments before where the town has come out, but it just shows you what potential there is, doesn't it? There is potential there for for grabbing some of these supporters and turning them into your I will go to a Tuesday night game at Fylde. Those sorts of people that is the ones that we need, as well as the ones that will be regular season ticket holders. But yeah, just so grateful for all the media coverage and the photos, and thanking all the supporters for putting their photos on, because I've been grabbing photos here, there and everywhere for my own collection. So I think I've got just about every angle of the game, every angle of the goal. I've got pictures from Spennymoor supporters. I've got pictures from Whiteleaf and Whitstable as well, their angles too. So just super celebrations, and just really looking forward now to see what happens between now and the start of pre-season. which for me can't come round quick enough.
Lovely stuff. And to you, Joe, your final wrap up and yeah, the open top bus tour thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, if you're listening to this and you haven't yet seen the footage of Jack Barham singing the wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round Aldershot Town, it is probably the one of the funniest things I've ever seen, and I've watched it far too many times. Yeah, just became even more of a fan favorite watching that video. But it's just really beautiful sight to see all those fans out. One of my friends was sending me videos, and yeah, I just found myself a bit like Julian, quite moved by the whole thing. If we can capture even a very small percentage of those extra fans that came to Wembley, it can only be a good thing. An extra 200 on the gate next season, could fund that, 30 goal a season striker. Who knows? But yeah, I know we're running low on time on this record. So yeah, just an absolutely amazing occasion. Just gutted I couldn't be there, but I had to get back to Devon to teach trigonometry at 9 o'clock on the Monday morning. In hindsight, I should have pulled a sickie.
I mean, I had barely any excuse of just being in London and having a day off. So yeah, I feel even worse. You've at least had an excuse. Um, we will we will leave. I also have not seen that Barham thing, so I need to watch that immediately. Thank you, Julian. Thank you, Joe, and thank you, Aldershot Town FA Trophy winners 2025.